Next, a man accused of raping multiple women is testifying in his own defense ahead how he recalls the events he's accused of. In a press conference today related to the death of this 10-year-old. Next, what we could learn from the state attorney on Channel 9 Eyewitness News at noon.
Major local news and weather on Channel 9 Eyewitness News. This is Channel 9 Eyewitness News at noon. Coverage you can count on.
On Eyewitness News at noon, a couple could face more charges in the death of this 10-year-old boy in about 2 hours. We'll be getting an update in the death of Xavier Williams. He died last month after police say he was tortured. Good afternoon and welcome. I'm Kirsten Delgado. Now, his mother, Kimberly Mills, and her boyfriend, Andre Walker, have been charged in that child's death. And Channel 9's Ashlyn Webb is live for us this afternoon as state attorneys are getting prepared for that press conference at 2:30 today. Ashlyn.
Yes, and all the state attorney's office has said at this point is that this will be a significant development in the prosecution of this case. That could be upgraded charges against Kimberly Mills and Andre Walker. Right now, the office is charging the couple with second-degree murder, but there are questions about if this could be potentially upgraded to first-degree murder, if it is suspected that this abuse was intentional, if it was planned. If that is the case today, if it is going to be upgraded to first-degree murder, we could be talking about much longer sentences, potentially even the death penalty on the table. Of course, we'll be following this press conference at 2:30 and bringing you guys the updates on WFTV.com and on WFTV. Reporting in Tavares, Ashlyn Webb, Channel 9 Eyewitness News.
Ashlyn, thank you. And April is, in fact, National Child Abuse Prevention Month, and a special event today actually helped to raise awareness. The Kids House, Wayne Dench Children's Advocacy Center, and the Seminole County Sheriff's Office joined forces this morning to combat child abuse, and that includes how to recognize and report suspected abuse.
Some signs of child abuse are easy to recognize, right? Bruising to the facial area, bruising on other parts of the body, but there may be signs visible in plain view under the clothing and other things.
The Advocacy Center says it's important to take time to talk to children if they're not acting themselves. Well, new at noon, we now know what brought police to a scene on Candace Court in Orlando early this morning. Police say this happened right after 6 in the morning, and they found one victim there. We now know it's related to a stabbing, but we were there live for you as that victim was airlifted to the hospital, and we were getting updates right now on that person's condition. Police say this was a stabbing and was domestic in nature. The investigation is active, and on this will, of course, let you know. Well, closing arguments are about to begin at the trial of a man accused of attacking women at bus stops in Pine Hills. Channel 9's Nick Pappentonis has been covering this trial since it began and is lying outside the Orange County Courthouse right now. Nick, that man testified in his own defense this morning.
And Kirsten, it's not clear that he actually helped himself by testifying in his own defense. You're about to watch prosecutors point out contradiction after contradiction in Nelson Odijah's testimony. That defense attorneys are leaning in on this idea of the language barrier. We saw very clearly that Odijah did not have his rights when he was read to them in his post-arrest interview. The question is this going to be enough to keep him from getting life if he's convicted by this jury? Live in Orlando, Nick Pappentonis, Channel 9 Eyewitness News.
The Senate just released legislation to enhance penalties for people found guilty of killing a police officer. That measure was postponed last week after members of the Black Caucus took issue with the language in that bill. Ormond Beach Republican Tom Leake returned to the Senate floor with an amendment that addressed the concerns of those colleagues. Jason Rayner, the man you see here, was killed in 2021, and this legislation is in his name. Now it'll go to the House floor for a vote. Well, this year's hurricane season forecast was just released, and believe it or not, we're less than 2 months away. So we have Chief Meteorologist Tom Terry in Sevier with us on 9 for us this afternoon. Tom, what do we know?
It's going to be a busy season, we think, and perhaps almost as active from a numerical standpoint as last season. We're hoping we don't have the same impacts as last season. This is the forecast from Colorado State, and they do the early season forecast. They're first coming out in April today. 17 named storms, slightly more than our long-term average of 14. A lot of hurricanes. We had 10 or 11, I believe, last year. I think it was 11. 4 major hurricanes. These are the big ones. So we're going to keep close tabs on things. These numbers right now, just the preliminary forecast. But one of the first things that pops out when you take a look at this map, this is how much warmer or cooler the waters are, and this is the fuel source for hurricanes. So we can clearly see the warmer water still over the Gulf, over the Caribbean, and across the western central Atlantic. But something interesting, and we're going to be trying to do a little more research on this. We saw this pop up last season. It is cooler off the coast of Africa, kind of like a La Nina, which we generally see in the Pacific, but rarely in the Atlantic. Now, last season, it actually meant a couple of storms did not form that probably would have. So hopefully that's a positive for us. But you saw all the red on the map. That's a lot of warm water. Elsewhere, it is another day of severe weather outbreak expected across the midsection of the country. I've got fresh video coming up on the damage that storms yesterday brought in just a little bit. Right now, beautiful, warm 84. Temperatures roughly where they were yesterday. So we're going to keep this warmer cycle. In fact, coming up in a few minutes, I'll have more on this upcoming hurricane season where we normally see the first storms develop of the season, plus even hotter temperatures this weekend. Kirsten.
Tom, thank you. This afternoon, not everyone is happy about redistricting plans in Orange County. Last night, dozens of people gathered in front of the redistricting committee in Apopka. Now, many people in attendance there wanted their communities to stay in District 2. One proposal that was getting a lot of attention actually lumps Pine Hills in with Maitland and Winter Park, taking them out of District 2.
The incoming commissioner or whoever is going to be to represent this district needs to make sure that everybody's demands are met.
Another redistricting meeting is scheduled for April 10th. This time it'll be in District 4. This afternoon, new details on tariffs by President Donald Trump. And as Christian Cordero reports, right now the tariffs are sending uncertainty across the global economy. Meantime, leaders at local car dealerships are stocking up on inventory as those tariffs are impacting the auto industry. The general manager of City Kia of Greater Orlando said they saw a rush over the weekend with customers hoping to get pre-tariff deals.
My message to the community is act now if you know you're going to need a vehicle, because a $25,000 car today could be a $29,000 or $30,000 car in 120, 180 days.
Economists we spoke to say they believe the tariffs will drive up the cost of most goods. Happening now, these tariffs have been impacting the stock market as well. Here's a look at the numbers so far. We'll have closing figures for you later today on Channel 9 Eyewitness News at 4. And right now, we actually have Channel 9 Sabrina Majori looking at the local impact of these tariffs. She'll have that story for you this afternoon. Florida's newest U.S. congressman has officially been sworn in. You can see here House Speaker Mike Johnson swearing in Randy Fine. This is yesterday. The former state senator and representative beat out Democrat Josh Wheel in Tuesday's special election. Jimmy Petronas was also sworn in yesterday. He now represents District 1 in the Panhandle. Well, soon the Pulse nightclub will open its doors for the first time, but only for those who were victimized by that tragic event. But the question is it safe to do so? We have more details coming up. And nature's fury across much of the Midwest and South. We look at the storms that ravaged whole communities and even claimed lives.
That's right. Yeah, big storm. We've got at least 2 or 3 more days of that, Kirsten. Right now, beautiful day at the world's most famous beach. We need something to help bring a little rain. I'm going to break down Future Track and see how long before rain returns.
Only on Channel 9 Eyewitness News, getting you closer over the scene of breaking news. Sponsored by Bogan Munns & Munns. No gimmicks, just results.
On WFTV tonight, we stay on top of the major news you need to know.
With team coverage of breaking news, giving you details that matter.
The day's top stories and weather.
To prepare you for tomorrow.
WFTV tonight at 11 on Channel 9.
Only Channel 9 actually spoke with the father of a Parkland school shooting victim about the decision to allow survivors and families into the Pulse nightclub again. See, survivors of Parkland shooting opportunity to go into that school afterward, and that father says Pulse survivors should have that same opportunity. But it comes as some people structural integrity of that building. Pulse advocates gave us this memo and 2016 that shows the building is unsafe and warrants emergency condemnation. A city spokesperson told us there are no structural concerns, but the building, and they believe it's safe for small groups. The Parkland father says survivors of Pulse should consider visiting for potential closure.
I brought hundreds of people through the site of the Parkland school shooting. This is fraught if it's not done right to really cause more pain.
Now, we did ask the city for documents showing that building is structurally safe, but we were told there's no indication the building is unsafe to enter. A Pulse advocate says that he's willing to pay for an inspection before that visit. Florida continues to pour millions of dollars into recruitment of law enforcement, and it's attracting officers the country. The governor says the state has now awarded more than 7,800 recruitment bonuses to new law enforcement officers, each with $5,000 bonuses. The most recent round went to recruits in Marion County, and Sheriff Billy Woods says it sends a clear message.
The recruitment bonuses that my deputies will receive here today isn't just a check, okay? It's a statement. It tells the men and women in uniform that their choice to serve and protect matters.
The governor says officers have come from 49 states and 2 U.S. territories to join the ranks here in Florida. Meantime, bills cracking down on gift card fraud in Florida are now heading for full House votes in the Senate as well. The bills would establish clear definitions for gift cards related to their use and misuse. The bill would also make gift card fraud a first-degree misdemeanor, punishable by up to a year in jail and $1,000 fine. A restaurant in Winter Park is a finalist for a very high honor. Homme Albigeant is a French-Japanese restaurant on East Lyman Avenue. It's a finalist for the Best New Restaurant in the 2025 James Beard Awards. That restaurant is known for its innovative approach to fine dining. The winner will be announced in June. Covering our Space Coast this afternoon, preparations are underway for one of the last flights of ULA's longest-serving rocket cruiser, getting this Atlas V rocket ready to launch at the Cape Canaveral Space Force Station. It'll carry the first satellite on satellite-based internet service project Kuiper. 15 missions for the rocket before it's replaced by the Vulcan Centaur rocket. That launch will happen next Wednesday at noon. Now to severe weather slamming the middle of the country in what meteorologists are calling a once-in-a-generation weather event. A combination of tornadoes and flooding hitting the same corridor for days. And as Morgan Norwood reports, at least 4 people are confirmed dead in Tennessee. And this is the time of year for it, unfortunately, for these kind of strange tornadoes to turn up. It's the season.
What is unusual about this, though, Kirsten, is that high pressure giving us our beautiful hot weather is anchored in, and there's a storm to the west that's anchored in, so everything's at loggerheads. So it's day after day, 4 days in a row of this. Right now, this is day 2, and we've got severe weather northeastern Oklahoma potential, and not quite as active so far today, but we're expecting things to get more active. And we have a level 3 risk here again, northeast Texas, Memphis, Arkansas, and I want you to keep your eye right there. See that? There's tomorrow. So it's all wash, rinse, repeat, unfortunately, and very high risk every single day. Now, as we get closer to early next week, I'm thinking late Monday, Tuesday, we're going to get a small bit of that, but it will be much weaker when it gets here, okay? But we're going to get some changes coming early next week. In the meantime, no change here. It is unseasonably warm. In fact, our average high is 81, and we blew the doors off that at 11 o'clock this morning. So we're 80s, mid-80s, and the farther away we get from this onshore wind, the warmer it's going to get. Metro Orlando, hour by hour, you can see temperatures very close to 90. This would be the 3rd day in a row if we do hit 90. Then you can see it dropping, but not by a whole lot tonight. Here are the highs today: 87, 90, 91, 6 to 5 in Pickham. It's going to be a warm day today. Also, winds a little more coming in out of the south, and that's going to keep the high fire threat going as well. As again, as I mentioned, high pressure is kind of anchored off the coast, kind of slowing down the movement of those storms back to the west, but keeping us in this hot, breezy pattern. But 90-degree weather, the dry weather, no rain till Tuesday, and breezy all equals that high fire threat. So we're going to be watching with early warning Doppler 9 radar. Radar can usually spot those fires just as they develop from the smoke that emanates out. Here's your 4-day forecast for the theme parks. Unseasonably warm all the way into the weekend. I think Sunday, Monday could be even warmer with the approaching storm system kind of cranking up the temperature pattern a little bit. Here's a look at future track talking about heavy rainfall. That's another big problem through here, as we could get over a foot or more of rainfall right here in these kind of poor drainage right through the river basin, mountainous areas, and all the way through Saturday. It's really bringing it. By the time we get to Sunday, the weather starts moving closer to Atlanta, and this is when we will start watching the weather change here. Another very warm day Monday, but then rain starts to move in, and this will also bring a cool down, which I am personally a big fan of. We need something cooler. Here's your 7-day forecast. The weekend always in view. From 90, we climb slowly to about 92, maybe 93 Sunday and Monday, depending on the cloud deck overhead. Tuesday, next good chance for some rain. Could be here as late Monday night, but probably more into Tuesday. So, Kirsten, we are eventually going to cool back down, bring it back down to normal, which is around 81. I'm also looking at another above normal hurricane season. Colorado State just issued their forecast. We'll talk more about that coming up.
I'm with you, Tom. Looking forward to those 70s. Well, ICE agents have been rounding up some college students here on visas ahead why ICE has targeted them and the efforts to get them released. And right now, a woman in Brevard County is facing charges ahead why the sheriff's office says she threatened teenagers she thought were on her property.
Hey, I'm Dr. Darian, and today here are some simple ways to reduce your sugar intake. This is something that we can all strive to. The number one thing you want to do is understand how much added sugar you're getting in the day. Look at the nutrition labels, add it up throughout the day. If you notice it's over 26, 28 grams, you want to work to reduce that. And if you're going to get fruit, specifically canned fruit, you want to find fruit in water or natural juice. A lot of this canned fruit has added sugar to it, and you simply don't need it. And if you are a soda lover, you can look for sparkling water. These use natural sugars that will keep you full and won't raise your sugar. Also, you can try extracts like almond, vanilla, orange, or lemon. These sweeteners you can add to foods like coffee or tea. This can help you hopefully get that sugar that you're looking for, that sweetness, but also reducing your risk of insulin resistance and therefore reducing your risk of diabetes later on in life. I'll have more tips on healthy living coming up on GMA3. See you there.
An Orlando homeowner turned to the Home Depot for a $70,000 window replacement, but he claimed nightmare. Action 9 consumer investigator Jeff Deal is looking into this issue for Eyewitness News today at 5. Well, believe it or not, there may be in your movements to steal from you. Coming up, how a man's quick thinking in Osceola County, though, saved him from being robbed. Plus, we now know the death of an MLB player. His son was actually due to carbon monoxide poisoning. Next, why his death is now drawing light on a global issue.
This Hour Cam Shot, sponsored by Morgan & Morgan, America's largest injury law firm.
WFTV.com. See breaking news anytime, everywhere. Streaming live no matter what device you're on. Plus, zoom into live radar and track storms to where you live. WFTV.com is brought to you by City Kia of Greater Orlando.
Eyewitness News live stream, sponsored by Advent Health.
Never, ever stop reaching for what makes you feel whole.
12:30, welcome in. I'm Kirsten Delgado, and here's a recap of our top stories this afternoon. First, right now, Orlando police are looking for the person responsible for a stabbing. The attack happened on Candace Court this morning around 6:45. Police say the stabbing may be domestic in nature. The victim was airlifted to a hospital, and right now working to get information on his condition and details about the suspect. Also today, a jury is expected to begin deliberating the trial of a man accused of attacking women in Pine Hills. The suspect testified this morning in his own defense, and Channel 9 is at the courthouse right now for you. We'll have live updates today on Eyewitness News at 4. And we're expecting to hear an update in the death of a 10-year-old boy. The state attorney will provide new details in the prosecution of that boy's mother and her boyfriend. Police say Xavier Williams was beaten and tortured to death. He passed away from his injuries last month. That press conference starts at 2:30. Well, this afternoon, we have new developments in the death of the son of baseball star Brett Gardner. Authorities say the 14-year-old passed away from carbon monoxide poisoning while vacationing in Costa Rica. And as Ariel Reshef reports, the source of that carbon monoxide may be surprising. This afternoon, Immigrations and Customs Enforcement officials are facing backlash following a string of deportations that have sparked protests. A hearing is expected later today for a Tufts University student who was arrested on a street near Boston. He's accused of engaging in pro-Hamas activities and threatening U.S. national security. Now, though Tufts University says he should be released, the university has said has no information to support the allegations. A Columbia student was also arrested for pro-Hamas activities, and a Yale professors, some of them are relocating to teach in other countries.
What is happening at universities that terrifies me most, that I did anticipate more than the crackdown on free speech, was the abduction and taking away of people walking down the street.
ICE also admitted to mistakenly deporting a Maryland father to El Salvador prison. Government officials have not ordered back him, but they say currently they're working to get him back into U.S. custody. On our Space Coast, a new kind of space race is taking shape, and it could slash the trip to Mars in half. British startup Pulsar Fusion just unveiled a concept for a nuclear-powered rocket called Sunbird. It could hit speeds of 500,000 miles per hour, faster than anything ever built, and use fusion energy to launch missions deep into space. That company hopes to achieve that by 2027. A line of storms is moving across middle America right now, leaving millions under upcoming tornado watches. Officials are confirming that at least 3 people have died from a severe storm outbreak in Tennessee. And in the area near Tennessee, Arkansas, Missouri, Illinois, and Kentucky, nonstop rain is also a possibility. The rain could lead to potentially life-threatening flooding. And while things are really warmer than average here, that's our problem. But that's really the least of it compared to what these folks are experiencing, Tom.
Yeah, that's right. Let me just give you a summary. The last 48 hours, Kirsten, I showed it just the number of funnel cloud and tornado reports. Most of these actually were tornadoes when they came down. You can see we have some clusters over parts of Kansas. We had some over Arkansas and eastern Arkansas. This is where we've seen the majority, right along the Mississippi River, of tornadoes so far. And again today, this is the outlook here, level 3 out of 4. Yesterday it was a level 5, which is so rare. I didn't even put it in our legend. We never really have those in Florida, mercifully, but that's where we're going to see the highest threat here, northeast Texas over toward Memphis. And as I mentioned in the last weather opportunity, you can see this same area, Arkansas, Memphis down toward central Louisiana, all the way into the start of the weekend. Now, as we head toward Sunday into Monday, we're going to start seeing the threat from Atlanta down toward the Florida Panhandle. Things are going to kind of get slowed down a little bit, though, but I do expect we're going to have at least a chance for a few storms by Tuesday, but we're not expecting it to be the same kind of storminess that they've seen elsewhere. In the meantime, we could use something to cool down, but not today. 84. In fact, we have a little bit of a heat index. We hit 95 on the heat index yesterday. 87, 88 is what it feels like, 90 in Winter Haven. So that's kind of what we've got going. No rain to speak of, but again, I'm using Doppler radar to look for any smoke plumes, and so far I don't see any. So a good sign so far today, Kirsten.
All right, Tom, thank you. The Osceola County Sheriff says 2 men are now facing burglary charges and deportation after breaking into a man's car. Investigators say it was a case of bank jugging. That's actually when crooks follow people from an ATM or a bank hoping to steal cash. This time, though, the owner caught the men inside of his car and quickly called 911. Deputies followed the suspects and then made those arrests. Right now, a 59-year-old woman is in Brevard County in jail there, facing charges after deputies say she threatened 2 teenagers fishing near her property. Now, one of the teenagers got video of that incident. Deputies say that Donna Elkins was armed with a pellet gun, but the teens did not know that when they say she threatened to, quote, blow their heads off for being in her backyard.
It's on my mind every day, all the time. It's just replaying over and over again how, like, she had the gun pointed at us, made us lay on the ground, and it was just a scary moment.
Deputies determined the teens were actually 30 feet from Elkins' property line. She's now facing charges of aggravated assault and false imprisonment. A New Jersey Youth League hockey brawl turned into adults getting arrested.
If you can't act like an adult at your child's sporting event, you don't belong.
Up next, why parent conduct at sporting events is now a nationwide problem.
This frustrated homeowner turned to Action 9.
It was a nightmare.
After spending $70,000 for new windows and the job was not completed properly.
They didn't seal these windows. This is not what we paid for.
Action 9 consumer investigator Jeff Deal digs into his complaint about this major box store.
It's been already almost 2 years and nothing has been resolved.
The warning he has before you decide who to use for your home improvement projects. Today at 5 on Channel 9.
Real celebrates your favorite festivals and celebrations around the world.
Christmas in Europe, Oktoberfest in Germany, St. Patrick's Day in Ireland. My heart's pounding. It's a party all this week on Wheel of Fortune.
Brought to you by Leach Firm.
3 people are being charged after a fight broke out at a youth hockey game in New Jersey. They're charged with simple assault and disorderly conduct. Now, that brawl started with the children themselves, but quickly escalated when the adults got involved. One survey says the problem here is actually nothing new.
If you can't handle your emotions, if you can't be responsible, if you can't act like an adult at your child's sporting event, you don't belong.
A national survey says nearly 40% of officials reported that parents are actually the cause of the most problems with sportsmanship. American Airlines is facing more aircraft issues coming up. How these passengers are doing after an evacuation in Georgia.
Well, the countdown's on. We're now below 60 days, 59 days, in fact, until hurricane season begins. I'm going to take a look at where we normally see storms early in the season and the latest forecast from Colorado State just issued on how busy the season should be.
Right now, TikTok is running out of time to find a buyer here in the U.S. The app's Chinese parent company, ByteDance, has until Saturday to sell off its U.S. operations or risk being banned. And now a tech billionaire has expressed interest. Amazon's Jeff Bezos. Lawmakers say national security, though, is still their top concern. People on this American Airlines flight are back home after smoke forced them to evacuate the plane. Authorities say the plane experienced a maintenance issue after it landed in Augusta, Georgia on Tuesday. Now, firefighters then rushed to that scene, and passengers described a burning smell before the cabin actually filled with smoke. And this comes as American Airlines is facing a lawsuit for an engine fire that last month happened in Denver. The lawsuit states the airline was negligent for failing to evacuate the passengers. 13 passengers were hospitalized after inhaling smoke and chemicals, but prosecutors say everyone on that plane was affected in one way or another.
It still had an emotional and a physical impact on each one of those passengers in some way, and we're hopeful that they will implement policies and procedures or follow them in the future so that this does not happen again.
Everyone on board was able to evacuate. American Airlines says it's reviewing the lawsuit. 12:45 on this Thursday afternoon, and this is we're juxtaposing Metro Orlando with Daytona Beach.
Well, I was in New Smyrna yesterday, and it was just perfect, Kirsten, because it was like 84, like a block in from the beach, but right on the coast, it was like 78. It was perfect. Here's a live view from the world's most famous beach, Daytona, and downtown's Lake Eola. We're tied at 84, and our temperature is about a degree cooler than this time yesterday in Orlando. I was tempted to bring the high down from 90 to 89 just to make myself feel better, but yeah, one thing I have learned after over 30 years of doing this, Kirsten, don't second guess yourself. So I left 90 and I'll just have to live with it. Right now, winds are coming in out of the south. It's been fairly breezy so far, knock wood. No big fire issues going on right now, but of course, very high fire threat will remain into at least Monday before we get some rain on Tuesday. Lake Mary, Longwood, we're going to keep temperatures in the upper 80s, and we're still going to hold on to 88 Sanford, 89 Kissimmee, maybe 90 Orlando, we'll see. 91 in Winter Haven. All things included, it's unseasonably warm. Daytona Beach, we're going to be in the mid to upper 80s, and I do think we'll actually get close to 90 as we head toward Monday. You see a slight 20% rain chance. That'll be late in the day on Monday. If you missed the top of the broadcast, we talked about Colorado State University. They issued their 2025 Atlantic hurricane season. They issue in early April, then further later in the year they issue updates, but that's a pretty big number for this early in the season. There you see the average average total number of storms. Now, that is named storms. So tropical storm gets a name, and then it goes up from there. Of those 17, 9 grow to become hurricanes, and of those 9, 4 become major. These numbers would be slightly less than we had last year, but as we know, it only takes one storm to create problems for you. And I wanted to show you the list of names for this season, starting with Andrea, Barry, and Chantal. Dexter may be a new name. That was the replacement name for Dorian, which was retired back in 2019, 6 years ago. And Ingrid was retired in 2013, and Imelda is the storm name for that. So we will not have to deal with Dorian or Ingrid names again. They also retired Beryl and Milton and Helene from last season, so we'll get new names for that. Generally, Western Caribbean and the Gulf is where we see a lot of activity form in June. We still got old cold fronts that come through here. The waters are very warm, and this is generally where we will see systems form if they do. This is also when Texas gets a lot of weather. We can get storms that like to percolate in the Bahamas. So this is the time to start thinking about your own hurricane plan. If you're new to Florida, just make sure that you trim your trees down. A lot of times, most of our insurance claims are for things on our own property that fall on our homes, like trees. Here's your 7-day forecast. Weekend always in view. We're going to keep heating it up day by day. I'm going to go for low 90s for Sunday and Monday, followed by a better chance for rain, maybe a couple of storms, Kirsten, by Tuesday of next week.
All right, thank you, Tom. Well, you know that you have more options now to cool off for our summer heat. Specifically, though, coming up, what Disney has announced about its water parks.
Hey there, Kirsten. Coming up on GMA3, the latest on the extreme weather triggering tornadoes and a major flood threat.
Plus, President Trump's tariff turmoil churning markets around the world. What you need to know.
Also, making peace between young siblings. Some much-needed help for parents.
And the new vampire western about to jump scare onto movie screens. Star Wami Musaku joins us here in studio, and it's coming up after Eyewitness News at noon. We'll see you then.
Tonight's primetime lineup on WFTV is brought to you by your local Southeast Toyota dealers.
Here's a look at some of the stories working on for you for Eyewitness News at 4. Later this afternoon, state attorneys will be providing an update on a child abuse case that left a 10-year-old boy dead. His mother, Kimberly Mills, and her boyfriend, Andre Walker, are charged in relation to that child's death. At 4, we'll tell you what prosecutors are now saying led to that child's death. Right now, stocks are down on Wall Street this afternoon. Here's a look at those numbers so far. We'll have closing figures for you later today on Channel 9 Eyewitness News at 4.
Stocks are brought to you by the personal injury firm of Todd Minor Law.
For the first time since 2019, Disney is opening both of its water parks at the same time. Typhoon Lagoon and Blizzard Beach will open together. Typhoon Lagoon will open on May 1st, while Blizzard Beach opens on May 21st. Guests at Disney resorts can actually visit those parks for free on the date of their check-in. So it's a nice way to arrive here in Florida, check into your hotel, and head out to cool off.
Yeah, that's the best way to do it. When we stay, as we're local, we don't have all the seasonal passes, but you go one day, you're there from sun up to way past sundown to get your money's worth. And we need something to cool down today. Let me show you the highs today. Very close to where we've been the last 2 to 3 afternoons. 90, maybe 89. Give or take, but it's going to feel hotter than that. Our heat index around 95 today. So just take it easy out there. Our bodies are still getting acclimated coming off of a relatively pleasantly cool winter and early spring. Now we're, of course, into summer mode. 90 to 92 through the weekend, and we're keeping an eye on Tuesday. There's a big storm system that's going to be a big national story, unfortunately, for the next 3 days. The Mid-South, they've had deadly tornadoes already. We've got more rounds of weather. We're going to get a few storms on Tuesday and some much needed rain and a much needed cool down, in my humble opinion. But we're going to be watching Tuesday.
Listen, it scares when you say we're entering that summer. We got to stave it off. Summer's not till June 20th. Come on, Tom Terry, help us out.
Welcome to Florida. Things are just a little off.
All right, thank you for watching us here at noon. Have a great afternoon. We'll see you tomorrow morning.
This time and temperature is sponsored by Mercedes-Benz of South Orlando.